I first became interested in meditation as a child and used it throughout my kindergarten through 12th grade experience as a way to help me focus on my studies and deal with some of the anxiety and other emotional difficulties commonly associated with growing up. In my early 20s, I sought to explore the effects of meditation more deeply after a near-death experience left me constantly feeling weak and afraid. Remembering how meditation had been useful for me throughout my childhood, I returned to a regular practice while also studying what science had to say about it. After coming to understand the facts, I decided to take the plunge and become a meditation instructor. And by sharing this technique with other survivors of trauma, um, my hope was that my students could be freed from the pain, fear, and anxiety that often rises up after encountering a traumatic or life-threatening experience. And I wanted to give them the keys to their freedom, so to speak, or the tools to heal themselves, so that they could one day be able to enjoy the happy, healthy, and abundant life that I felt every person deserves. After any traumatic incident, people naturally feel more afraid, worried, and anxious about their lives. Beyond the emotional and social effects of trauma, researchers have well documented the long-term physiological effects of these feelings in the body. Fear, worry, and anxiety are emotions produced by the frontal lobe of your brain after you assess a situation or memory as threatening, which then activates your fight or flight response. And this just causes a domino effect throughout the rest of your body. First, your nervous system releases chemicals known as neurotransmitters from the hypothalamus, and these communicate with your immune system and endocrine system. In response, your immune system stops functioning normally, which leaves you open to increased chance of infection or illness. And it also produces cytokines that are sent out to your endocrine system and to your brain. And researchers have linked this chemical to increased feelings of depression. Finally, your endocrine system, including your hypothalamus and kidneys, begin to excrete adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisone, and cortisol. These are collectively known as stress hormones, and they're linked to a number of somatic symptoms and illnesses, such as cardiovascular diseases, increased susceptibility to bacterial or viral infections, weight gain, and diabetes. Meditation can most simply be described as a technique used to focus your mind on one thing. Most of the time, we're usually caught up in thinking about multiple things all at once, past, present, and future all jumbled together. In the case of trauma survivors, the memories of their experience and the feelings attached to them can take up so much of their conscious waking thought that they can be overwhelmed and are unable to focus on completing tasks that may have been extremely easy before. There are many forms of meditation, but the most popular forms are mantra or chanting meditation, breathing meditation, and mindfulness meditation. After someone learns how to implement these meditation techniques, he or she can start integrating it into his or her daily routine to reprogram the mind to concentrate its focus on merely the present moment. There are obvious psychological effects of providing a single object of focus to keep the mind from wandering into a painful past, worrying about a potentially threatening future, or just feeling general fear, worry, and hate throughout a person's daily waking existence. However, researchers from Harvard Medical School were able to prove in 1968 that meditation has powerful physiological effects, which include reduced heart and breathing rates, lower oxygen consumption, decreased lactic acid levels, increased resistance to pain, and altered brain waves from beta to alpha waves. Since this initial discovery in the 20th century, scientists in the fields of neurology, psychoneuroimmunology, and genetics have been working to ascertain the deeper effects of a continued meditation practice on your brain, your immune system, and even on your genes. The amount of research that has been conducted could fill a few books, but I'll cover a few of the most astounding discoveries from recent years. In the field of neurology, researchers at Yale University found out from conducting MRIs on a group of experienced meditators and a control group of complete novices that the brains of experienced meditators function and are wired differently from non-meditators. Here's an image of both the brain scans of meditators and the brain scans of non-meditators. If you look here at the back of the brain, you can see in the non-meditators there's a small orange spot that's lit up, that's not lit up in the meditator's brain. This is referred to by neurologists as your default mode network. It produces many of the thoughts that are commonly associated with anxiety or depression. And then the study subjects that were regular meditation practitioners didn't have this area light up as frequently as the non-meditators, but when they did, as you can see in these scans down here, where you can see the circles, these represent the self-monitoring and cognitive control areas of the brain, and those would light up at the same time that their default mode network would light up, which suggests that at the same time that thoughts of anxiety or depression would flood their brain was already wired to combat that with an object to focus on or some positive self-talk. Psychoneuroimmunology is a relatively new field of medicine that studies the interaction of your emotions, brain, and immune system and their effect on your overall health and well-being. Meditation has been well documented by researchers in this field to activate the relaxation response, which produces the opposite effects of the fight or flight response I described at the very beginning of the presentation. This is just a basic diagram showing all of the effects of meditation, but predominantly what you will experience physiologically from a regular meditation practice is a heightened immune system, a switching off of the endocrine system's production of stress hormones, and an enhanced production of endorphins in your brain, also known as happy hormones. Psychologically, it can enhance a person's resilience to difficult or traumatic experiences by providing him or her a sense of empowerment and personal control, a sense of connectedness and acceptance, a sense of meaning and purpose, and last but not least, hope. In 2010, a Nobel laureate geneticist named Dr. Elizabeth Blackburn and her team of researchers at Stanford University published a report touting the beneficial effects of meditation on DNA, the blueprint of all the cells in your body. In recent years, genetic scientists have discovered that there is more to DNA than was previously assumed. It is actually a biological internet that not only provides essential information for your cells and stores information, but it also takes in information from the cells and their surrounding environment to determine the expression of certain genes. Regular meditation practice was proven by Stanford's research team to enhance the activity of an enzyme within the cell's nucleus called telomerase. The basic function of this enzyme within your cell's nuclei is to maintain the length of telomeres, which in this diagram you can see as the green end on the chromosome. And these are basically the caps on the end of your chromosomes that just have a repeating sequence of TTAGG that helps to maintain the integrity of the rest of the genes on your chromosome during during DNA replication during cell production. Within the past 2 years, Dr. Blackburn and other researchers have been able to associate a shorter telomere length with rapid aging and increased rates of depression. So for centuries, the majority of people have assumed that they are a victim of circumstance and allowed events in their lives to determine their mental, physical, and emotional health. And the pharmaceutical industry has made billions of dollars by promising a cure in a bottle. Yet these alleged panaceas have usually been anything but that, especially with the host of side effects that patients commonly experience when taking these prescribed medications. So what if people had known that the key to happiness and wholeness was a simple practice of counting their breath for even a few minutes a day? And what if somebody had told them that reciting, "I am happy, healthy, and whole" over and over again would have rewired their brains and reprogrammed their entire body, all the way down to their DNA? Well, I can assure you their lives would have been transformed. And yours can be too, by just implementing a regular meditation practice into a healthy and active lifestyle. Even a few minutes starting today can be the first step towards grabbing hold of the peace that you may be searching for. It really is just as simple as closing your eyes, counting your breath, and bringing your attention to the present moment where you are in control and you are the master of your own experience.